Why does California get hit with so many wildfires, but places like Texas, despite being just as hot and dry, if not hotter, don't seem to have the same problem? And before we dig in, please drop below any donation links or resources that you know of. Now let's dig in. Both states have hot, dry seasons, trees, and tons of open land. So why does California burn so much more? Is it something about the weather, the plants? First of all, let's talk about climate. California has what we call Mediterranean climate, meaning it gets rain mostly in the winter and the summers are bone dry. This winter rain grows lush vegetation that dries out by the summer, turning into perfect fire fuel. In Texas, rain is more spread out during the year, even in droughts, so vegetation doesn't dry out quite as intensely. Now, winds are a huge part of this story. California has the infamous Santa Ana winds. It's hot and dry gusts that blow in the fall, mostly. These winds act like a blowtorch, drying out vegetation even more and spreading embers for miles and miles. Now, in Texas, while we have windy days, they are not as strong, consistent, or dry as the Santa Anas. That makes a big difference in fire behavior. And then there is vegetation. California has hills that are covered in chaparral, grasslands, and forests with super flammable plants like eucalyptus and pine. These plants are literally made to burn as part of their life cycle, meaning they rely on fire to release their seeds. In Austin, Texas, for example, we've got oak and juniper trees, and they're just not as flammable as the trees and the vegetation in California. Plus, fires in California can spread fast because of how steep the mountains are. Austin Hills, for example, they're gentler, so fire just does not travel as quickly. Now let's talk people. Homes in California, homes are built kind of in the wildlands. That's called wildland urban interface. More homes mean more chances of sparks from things like power lines, campfires, and even cigarettes. In Texas, we don't have as much development right in the middle of high risk areas. So it's easier to keep these fires from spreading into our neighborhoods. And finally, California's history of fire suppression plays a role. For decades, small fires were put out immediately, lit in brush, and dead wood pile up. Now, when a fire starts, there is a ton of fuel to burn. Texas, on the other hand, has more of a natural fire cycle, plus controlled burns, and grazing animals and so on that keep the fuel loads a lot lower. So there you have it. California's wildfires are a perfect storm of climate, winds, flammable plants, steep mountains, and human development. Meanwhile, in Texas, even with its hills and droughts, it just does not have that same recipe for disaster. It does not mean we don't get fires, it's just that when we do, they're not at the same scale as California.